there's some things you can do to role model communications. It's not memos, it's not emails, it's who you are, it's personal communication. Coaching helps a lot. I've found that senior executives tend to respond really well to feedback if they've done right. So if they stand up in front of a group, one person stood up in front of a group and said, it was a merger, I was his coach. He said, okay, listen, I'm not going to hold anything against you in the past. It's a whole new slate, we're going to go forward. Whatever he did in the past, I'll forget that. Well, what he didn't realize was, and they're all pissed off, they left, and what he didn't realize was that they'd invested 20, 30 years of their career in the past. You don't depreciate the past. He didn't know that. He was thinking that he was being kind, but in fact, he wasn't. To give credit with some coaching, he had another meeting and several meetings that honored the past. So I think you can help your managers by giving them some coaching on how do you communicate, particularly things like the scripted thing. Pay attention. Unfortunately, this is the tip of the iceberg, but most people spend 90% of the time there. How layoffs happen, things like prior notice, things like job sharing, things like being transparent in the process. That's real important, but again, it's kind of like a hygiene factor. It's not necessarily going to solve the problem, but it makes the solution a lot easier. So paying attention to the ways layoffs happen, and not doing things like escorting 10-year employees out the door on a Friday because you think they're going to sabotage the equipment. I don't have any data that shows that is useful. 7, I think, is real important for you, given the background that you all have, is that my sense of what leaders do today is facilitate transitions. That's what they get paid for. The ones that survive do it really well. The ones that don't do it, they facilitate their organizational transition, but concurrently they facilitate their own transition. And so in the book I got 3 or 4 models, but I think adopting a model of transition is a common language. I like Bill Bridges' model just because it's simple. It's endings, neutral zones, and beginnings. Some people have a Kubler-Ross model. It doesn't matter what the model is, but if you have a common model of transition, it really helps people communicate. So you can have a meeting and someone might say, God, it just feels like we're going in circles. Are we still in the neutral zone? Things like that really open up communication. And they also help leaders understand that what their job really is transition facility. It doesn't matter what the model is, but in fact, a good meeting topic is, what is their model of transition? How do people change? Things like a force field analysis. Different tools for transitions. I've found that my experience is that you start in upper middle management or that level, that without top management, buy-in, but at least understanding, you create a lot of false expectations because senior management needs to know what's going on, otherwise they feel torpedoed and they feel out of control. Control is so important. Vulnerability and control is a big issue. And so, yeah, it can, and I've had some good luck, and I've made more money with upper middle management than the top managers because they're there. But I really do think that unless you have top management commitment and buy-in, they don't have to agree, but they have to understand that this is a key to profitability. It depends, again, on the organization, too, on the power structure of the organization. Some decentralized organizations can do real well. Particularly, a lot of people are I think, seduced by long-term strategies and abstract values. And I worked with a person whose strategy was to survive a quarter. And so short-term strategies, engaging people in activities that they feel good about, and rewarding short-term activities. So it doesn't have to be abstract or highfalutin. It can be very short-term. That way, people are present. I don't know where the future is going, but I know that in order to make the quarter, we got to do this. If we do this, we should celebrate because we should feel good about ourselves. So short-term gain, short-term bonding, I guess is a better term. read existential philosophy, we're always in the process of becoming, or never being. And so, end neutral zone, beginning neutral zone, end. And so what you don't want to do, I don't think, is to be too concrete. It's a whole issue of being paradoxical in thinking. I mean, you're too concrete. You know, here's the vision. We're not there yet, but in 10 years, God damn it, here's what it's going to be. In 3 years, the world changes radically, and so getting people to enjoy the voyage and enlist in sort of a provisional vision, as opposed to look for a concrete vision,